Namaste, friends, and welcome back to the podcast. On this episode, we are talking about releasing old patterns, or as they call them in yoga, samskaras. Now, if you listened to episodes 150 or 151, you will know what I'm talking about when I say samskaras. If you haven't, I'm going to give you a very brief overview of what that means, but I recommend you go back and listen to those episodes, and I will link them in the podcast, in the show notes to the podcast. But basically, samskaras are impressions on the mind. They're usually emotionally charged and then can be associated with things that are good or things that are not so good. So, for example, I grew up in an Italian family. There was always a lot of cooking going on, and there was always the smell of garlic and onions frying in a pan in olive oil, floating throughout the house. And so that was a positive, emotionally charged situation. When I smelled that smell in my home, I knew we were going to eat something really yummy. We were going to spend time around the table as a family. We may have extended family over. And so whenever I smell that smell to this day, it makes me feel good inside. I have good sensations that rise up in my body. I feel emotionally uplifted. And that pattern of feeling good when smelling the smell of onions and garlic cooking in olive oil has created things in my life. It makes me want to cook myself and use those same ingredients. It makes me want to share those recipes with my own children and extended family. And so samskaras can affect us positively or negatively. Our job is to figure out which ones are holding us back, which ones are keeping us stuck. And those are the ones that we need to identify, uproot, and remove. They need to go into the recycling bin. And we need to make space for new ones. And again, I highly recommend, if you haven't listened to 150 or 151, go back and listen to those episodes. Because today, those two episodes were really about awareness, about just becoming aware of what patterns may be holding you back. Today, we're going to be talking about actually releasing those patterns. How do we begin to release these patterns? And they can be patterns of thoughts, words, actions, and as I mentioned, feelings or even bodily sensations. And the patterns we want to release are those that are keeping us out of alignment with who we want to be, who we know we really are beneath the pattern, and what we know is right in our hearts. So I'm going to give you an example from my own life, which is with my husband. My husband is a very good man, but he suffers from anxiety, and often his anxiety comes out as being a little bit short, impatient, angry, those types of things. And when he gets a little bit snippy with me, I will snip right back often. And that is a pattern that stems from my own childhood, that I was raised with this very strong, there were very strong impressions placed on me about disrespect and how disrespect is not tolerated. And whenever I showed any disrespect when I was a child, my parents kind of came back at me in the same way that I am now coming back at my husband. And this is a pattern that is very much out of alignment for who I want to be. I want to be the person who can maintain emotional equanimity and space, even in those really emotionally charged moments. To be able to take a breath before reacting and instead respond in a way that feels in alignment for who I am and for what I deeply believe, and for who I know I am beneath this pattern. And so I have been practicing leaving that old samskara behind and creating a new one. But here's the thing about patterns. They are deeply ingrained and they are difficult to change. And I would love to say that this is easy, but it is not. It really does take a level of awareness, a level of space, and a level of willingness to change, a willingness to choose differently. and to be uncomfortable, because when we have lived with a pattern for a very long time, changing it is often uncomfortable. In fact, we can experience some pain in the process of changing it. But if we set the intention to choose differently and start to choose differently, we create new pathways. We create new samskaras. And these new samskaras are aligned with this better version of ourselves. And each time we do that, each time we catch ourselves repeating a pattern that doesn't serve us, and we, in that moment that we catch ourselves, choose a different path, one that fits who we are and what we deeply believe, we are claiming that new version of ourselves. We are stepping forward into that new version of ourselves. And here's the thing, we're not always going to get it right, because in the beginning, that old samskara, that old pattern is very well worn, right? We have repeated that pattern over and over, often for decades of our lives. And so it comes very fast and it comes instinctually. And sometimes it feels like it comes completely out of our control. And that's okay, right? This is a very strong pattern. And we are creating a new pattern, but in the beginning, the pattern is weak. And so the strong pattern may overcome the new weak pattern. So what do we do? How do we ever get stronger if this old pattern keeps beating out the new one? It's about going back. So, for example, let's say my husband's anxious about something, he gets snippy with me, and my old pattern fires, and I immediately get snippy with him back. And then I walk away and I start to calm down and I realize, oh, I did it again. I just did exactly what I said I didn't want to do and I wasn't going to do anymore. Here's where we can start to play the shame blame game, right? We start believing that it's not possible for us to change, that this is just the way we are, and it's impossible for us to be any different. Maybe it's our biology, maybe it's, just our makeup, right? We start saying all these different things about maybe why we cannot change this pattern. And then we may also start berating ourselves. What is the matter with you? Why can't you change? Why would you react that way even when you know it's not right? Look at me. I am a yoga teacher, a meditation teacher, right? Why can't I, after years of meditating, completely break this pattern, right? And so we start shaming and blaming. And also, we can blame the other, right? We could also turn the lens and say, well, I mean, he shouldn't speak to me like that. And so because he spoke to me like that, it forced me. It forced me to react this way, right? These are the things that we say to ourselves to try to get out of breaking the pattern. But if we know it is truly not in our alignment, it is truly not serving us in our highest selves, then the second we realize it, even if it's after it's passed, so it's me and my husband, he gets snippy, I snip back, I walk away, and then I realize, oh gosh, I did it again. That's the moment to go back and repair. So I can repair with myself, with some self compassion, forgiveness, maybe a hand to the heart. It's okay. You're doing the best you can. You'll choose differently next time. I can repair with my husband. I can go back and say, I shouldn't have responded to you in that way. That is not who I am or how I want to behave. So we're strengthening the pathway by choosing differently. Sometimes we'll be able to choose differently in the moment, and sometimes we won't be able to choose differently until after the moment has passed and we realize we need to go back and make repair with the moment, whether that be repair with yourself, repair with another, or just repair with the actual moment itself, right? Maybe visualizing, how could this moment have gone differently? If I had chosen differently, if I had chosen in the way that I want to be choosing, what would have happened? How would I have felt? What would that have looked like, right? And just replaying maybe that image in your mind. these are the ways that we can go back when this pattern is still weak and we're strengthening it. These are the reps, right? When you're building muscle, you need to do many reps over long periods of time. You don't go to the gym once, you go many times and you repeat those reps. And that's how we can repeat the reps when we miss the moment in the moment. I love this quote by Oprah Winfrey. If you've listened to my show for a while, you know I grew up watching The Oprah Show, and she was absolutely my first spiritual teacher, even though I did not know what that was at the time. But she is quoted as saying, "We cannot become what we need to be by remaining what we are." So if you know that you are stuck in your life in one or more areas, this is the answer, right? This is where it's coming from. You are stuck because you are repeating patterns that aren't serving you. And the only person who can change that is you. You are the only one who has the power to change that. And it's not easy. And it starts with a choice and an intention, right? I am choosing that I want different. I am choosing to elevate my life, and I am setting the intention to do so. And that is where it begins. So, we are going to do a little meditation to help us on this journey. As always, if you are in a safe space, then we can do this meditation together. Otherwise, pause this episode and come back to it when you have the ability to close your eyes and be really present with the meditation. If you can close your eyes at this point, I invite you to find a comfortable seat. Settle in, really feeling those sits bones underneath of you. Maybe closing the eyes, rolling the shoulders back and down, tucking the chin just a little bit so the crown of the head rises towards the sky. And take a big inhale through the nose and sigh it out the mouth. Another big inhale through the nose. And sigh it out again, maybe making a little sound as you sigh out. And one last time, big, deep inhale through the nose and releasing it out of the mouth. And then just letting your breath to return to its normal pace in and out of the nose. For this meditation, let's choose just one pattern. Maybe you can recall a pattern that you know is holding you back, that's keeping you stuck. Bringing that pattern to mind now, think of all the things associated with it. Where is this impacting your life? How is it impacting your life? And are there people that this pattern is impacting? Now be aware of your body. Just feeling into the internal sensations of the body. And ask your body how it feels being stuck in this pattern. Just listen to your body and let whatever rises be enough. And this is where we have to watch out for our egos. The ego that gives all the excuses as to why you don't need to change or why you can't change. Just let those go and ask your inner knowing to send you signals when you are about to repeat this pattern. And now bring your awareness to your heart center. and ask your heart what it wants. How would your life look differently without this pattern? What would change for the better? Let's silently set some intentions, repeating these in your mind. I welcome challenges. I welcome challenges. I welcome challenges. I will fulfill my life's purpose. I will fulfill my life's purpose. I will fulfill my life's purpose. I am good enough. I am good enough. I am good enough. I can do anything I choose. I can do anything I choose. I can do anything I choose. Now, bringing that pattern to mind, I want you to see it in your mind's eye. See yourself repeating the pattern, and really get clear. Where are you located? Who are you with? What are you doing? How do you feel? Let the scene play out in your mind. And when it's complete, imagine yourself rewinding the scene like you would rewind a movie, going back to right before the pattern began expressing itself. And now see yourself choosing differently. See yourself speaking, behaving, thinking, or feeling in a way that serves your highest good. Once again, bring the scene to life. See yourself, where you're located, what you're doing, what you're thinking, what you're saying. How does it feel in your body to choose differently? How does it feel in your heart to choose differently? How does it change your energy? How are you standing, speaking, or thinking after choosing differently? And what is your emotional state? Hold that image in your mind's eye. See it with as much clarity as you can muster. And deeply believe that it is possible. Mindful awareness helps us to stay present in the moment and connect to the body and its signals. So let's release that image and just become aware of our breath. Effortless breath flowing in and out. Repeat the affirmation: I can do anything I choose. I can do anything I choose. Now repeat the affirmation: I am open to new ideas. I am open to new ideas. When we release old patterns, it's like a tree that's lost all of its leaves. There's room for new growth, new expansion, and the ability to become who you know you truly are. When you feel ready, gently opening the eyes, and taking in the space around you, staying in stillness, just allowing yourself to come back to the present moment. And if the body is asking for it, maybe making some small movements, rolling the shoulders, turning the head from side to side, whatever feels good in your body. Just remembering that you can always choose again. If you make a choice that has you falling back into a pattern you know is keeping you stuck, there's no need to get upset or angry or blame anyone. Just take a deep breath and choose again. As I mentioned, I highly recommend going back and listening to episodes 150 and 151. 151 was the first meditation in this series. So I will link both of those in the show notes and you can save them. If you listen, particularly, I know on Apple Podcasts, you can save episodes. So if you want to be able to return to these meditations, there's a lot of benefit in doing meditations over and over again. So I highly recommend that. It's just a good practice in general, whether it's my meditations or anyone else's. Each time you come back to a meditation, you will get something new out of it. So save the meditation and come back and repeat them and start creating new samskaras, ones that will help you create the life that you are longing for, that will get you out of feeling stuck in whatever area of your life you feel that way now, or ones that will just improve your life, improve your relationships, improve your work, improve your sense of self. There are so many patterns that we have accumulated over a lifetime. It's just the cost of being a human. So there's nothing wrong with you that you have patterns that you want to eliminate, uproot, and remove. That is just a side effect of being a human and having emotions and going through emotionally charged situations throughout your life. So no one avoids that. No one avoids patterns. It's really now at this stage, once we've become aware that we have it, that is where our responsibility lies. So once we've achieved awareness, now we have a responsibility to take charge of these patterns and decide what can stay and what needs to go. All right, namaste, friends. Have a beautiful week, and I will talk to you next time.